The second speaker is Ms. Aditya Amaranggana, who started her career as project associate at the UNWTO in Madrid. Currently, Ms. Aditya is working as a senior officer of the tourism marketing in ICT and tourism division at ASEAN Secretariat. Today, she will be speaking about COVID-19 crisis response in the tourism sector and ASEAN perspective. Ms. Aditya, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It is a real delight to be speaking before you today at the Tourism Crisis Management webinar. On behalf of the ASEAN Secretariat, I would like to express my appreciation to GTA, Japan Tourism Agency, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism, also UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and the Pacific, and Asia Pacific Tourism Exchange, and also ASEAN Japan Center for organizing this webinar. So tourism is an economic powerhouse with huge potential for economic return and also social benefit for all ASEAN community. With immense potential, such as fascinating natural beauties, rich and diverse cultures, ASEAN has been enjoying continuous growth in revenue, in tourist arrivals, and also the number of worldwide destinations for the last decades. And today, the tourism sector contributes to nearly 15% GDP and also 14% of employment of the ASEAN community. Nevertheless, the tourism sector is always the most vulnerable sector to natural disasters and also crisis. So this industry is likely to be the first one to get hit and last one to recover. And the COVID-19 pandemic has brought in one of the greatest challenge thus far to the industry. It causes devastating impact on economy, on society, and the region's economy is projected to contract by 3.8% in 2020. This is the biggest economic contraction in the last 22 years. And preliminary data has shown that the tourism sector in ASEAN had suffered a sharp decline by approximately 72% in terms of international arrivals, and also a significant loss in tourism receipts, ranging from 50 to 70% as the consequences. And a substantial increase in the unemployment rates in the tourism sector becomes another pressing issue that needs to be resolved. So, as the impact of COVID-19 continues to linger, ASEAN member states have exerted extraordinary efforts focusing on resiliency, sustainability, and also interconnectedness among diverse stakeholders within the sector. So strong and coordinated actions among ASEAN countries to stabilize the situation while also prepare for full recovery are crucial to save millions of livelihoods. The tourism sector is among the first sectors in ASEAN who acted promptly in response to the alarming call for the COVID-19 containment. Last February, the ASEAN Tourism Crisis Communication Team was activated to monitor the situation and to start initial coordination in delivering accurate and also timely travel advisory for stakeholders in the region. Subsequently, ASEAN member states have then shared updated information on each of their digital platform on the immediate actions taken by the respective country, such as financial aids, measures to assist businesses, especially for MSMEs, economic households, and employees in the tourism sector. Also stakeholder support to adapt to the new normal, preparing them for a sustainable recovery in the long run. And then on April 2020, a special meeting of ASEAN tourism ministers on COVID-19 was also convened to discuss and endorse a number of collective actions to mitigate the impact of the disease, and also to prepare the groundwork for reopening of the sector once the pandemic has been brought under control. So ASEAN tourism officials were tasked to work out a series of ASEAN protocols, standards, guidelines on security and health factors for protecting employees, communities, and also other tourism-related establishments. The ministers also called for the establishment of ASEAN travel bubble or green lanes to safely facilitate travelers' movement under a harmonized health control system, which needs to be agreed and implemented by relevant agencies at designated entry points in participated countries. So throughout last year, and also this year, given the growing concerns due to uncertain development of the pandemic, ASEAN has expedited various initiatives which are proactive, agile, and also all-encompassing as the spirit of ASEAN whole of community. So the region is able to gradually adopt its policies to these changing conditions. So these are the key initiatives, as can be seen on the screen. So updating information regarding travel restrictions and also quarantine information on our website through a special dedicated landing page established to publish relevant content on the COVID-19 update. Also optimizing the use of ASEAN tourism social media channels to share member states' private sector initiatives. The aim is to give reassurance to travelers and also business partners alike in their future travel planning. Then organizing regional dialogues to exchange experience on how to address the emerging impact effectively from different perspectives, especially on how to coordinate with relevant agencies. Then developing online learning for tourism professionals through the ASEAN Tourism Professional Registration System as one of our innovative tool to reskill, upskill tourism workforce in ASEAN. Also engaging the private sector, of course, for capacity building, training workshop to support the recovery efforts by the private sectors, especially towards MSMEs. Also adopting digital technology, of course, and innovation in tourism development to enhance competitiveness, to facilitate growth, and to develop sustainable tourism, to provide opportunities and capabilities for related stakeholders in the tourism sector. Also developing a comprehensive post-COVID-19 recovery plan for ASEAN tourism and exploring new practical solutions to prepare for the reopening of the tourism industry safely. And also realigning activities of the ASEAN tourism marketing strategy for the next 5 years with a comprehensive post-COVID-19 recovery plan to maintain the tourism demand at the countries which are identified already as a target market, with a vision to reboot the tourism industry as soon as possible. So the crisis management has never been one sector's issue, and the tourism sector is not an exception. So managing crisis in the ASEAN tourism is an integral part of a comprehensive recovery plan, which requires multidimensional and cross-sectoral coordination at regional community level. With this in mind, ASEAN Coordinating Council Working Group on Public Health Emergency was established last April with representation from all 3 community pillars of ASEAN. So the working group is tasked to support the ASEAN Coordinating Council in the implementation of the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework, which was adopted also last year in November 2020. So this represents ASEAN's holistic approach to mobilize existing resources to contain the COVID-19 and also to prepare for the resilient recovery from the pandemic. I would like to highlight here that what ASEAN has been doing in the face of COVID-19 clearly reaffirm the vision of One ASEAN, One Response, as highlighted in the ASEAN Disaster Management Reference Handbook when dealing with a crisis, especially one in such a large scale in a practicable and sustainable manner. So as a lesson learned, the coordinated efforts by ASEAN in the tourism sector during COVID-19 pandemic have set a new standard on how ASEAN could jointly manage crisis and also natural disasters at such a large scale. Safeguarding traveler safety and maintaining trust and confidence of the businesses in the pandemic are among the immediate priorities for the time being. But ASEAN is also promptly geared towards a more coordinated approach to address common and also other long-term issues. So this echoes the fact that the tourism sector is highly interconnected between one country to another within the region. So no single ASEAN country could safely restart its tourism alone, as the elements for the recovery are intertwined. This creates a unique catalyst for cooperation between ASEAN tourism and also other relevant stakeholders. So I also would like to highlight this is the right time for stakeholders, including governmental agencies, also the private sectors to reconsider their core missions, to readjust their businesses with a view to establish a more sustainable and more resilient tourism industry. So indeed, the COVID-19 outbreak will forever change the dynamic and also redefine the future of ASEAN tourism cooperation. Public and private collaboration should be the core process of any crisis management, and the ASEAN tourism policy must reinforce its support towards businesses who struggle in navigating through obstacles from any crisis, among others by adapting new business models, for example, embracing digitalization and also promoting effective connectivity throughout the tourism supply chains. We know digitalization is an inevitable trend, especially in the face of the current pandemic situation, that profoundly increases our ability to effectively manage our resources to achieve better outcome. So in the tourism sector, digitalization provides greater alternative solutions to assist businesses, employees, customers, and the whole industry to adapt with the new situations, the new conditions. So it is believed that ASEAN tourism will bounce back, as it has been proven during similar crises, such as the economic crisis in 2008 or SARS outbreak in 2003. Nevertheless, this pandemic, with its enormous and unprecedented adverse impact, has forever changed ASEAN's policy paradigm to be more proactive in preparing the communities and managing the crisis of similar scale in the future. So for that purpose, I greatly appreciate the efforts shown by the organizers for today's webinar. This is a valuable opportunity for us to share our view and learn how our region shall improve its capability to better prepare for future crises, taking into account, of course, our diverse experiences and also international best practice. So with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.